Professor Ratul?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Lahkar the correct pronunciation?
Well, well, it depends on which part of India you are coming from, but we pronounce it as the Lahkar. So
Lahkar.
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Vedhi is saying she didn't get the link yet.
Are you telling me?
No, someone from one of the co-hosts.
I shared with you over the chat. You can share with her.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So it's 5 minutes to webinar. I'm just starting it so participants can join in. Anisha, you at sharp 6 come over, okay?
Okay.
Hello, is someone from the outreach team here?
Yes, Professor. We have three of us.
Yeah. So I will have this screen sharing, whatever the rights, right? So I can share the screen, my screen.
Yes. Yes, you will.
Yes.
Okay. I just need to click on share screen for that.
That's correct. So we'll pull this down. We'll pull this down as soon as Anisha comes on screen.
Okay.
And he hands it over to you. You can share it.
Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Okay. So we are live now.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Undergraduate Academics webinar series, an interactive online platform connecting high school students to Ashoka's esteemed faculty. In this series, we aim to cover the majors and minors that are offered as part of Ashoka's undergraduate program. Our faculty will guide you in understanding the interdisciplinarity of the subjects and address the uniqueness of the curriculum in the liberal arts and sciences context. I am Anisha Chandra from the UG batch of 2021. I'm an Economics and Finance interdisciplinary major at Ashoka, and I will be your moderator for today. Thank you for joining us for the webinar, Why Study Economics at Ashoka University? Feel free to post any questions you may have in the Q&A box. We will be taking them up at the end of the session. I am joined today by Professor Ratul, who is the head of department and professor of economics at Ashoka University. Professor Lahkar received his master's in economics from the Delhi School of Economics and his Ph.D. in econ from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2007. His primary research interest is in game theory with a particular focus on evolutionary game theory. Joining us, we also have Professor Swagata Bhattacharjee, Assistant Professor of Economics at Ashoka University. Professor Bhattacharjee completed her PhD in May 2016 from the University of Texas at Austin. Her primary research interest lies in applied microeconomic theory and experimental economics. So without further ado, let's get started. We will begin with our speakers introducing you to the economics program at Ashoka, and then we will be taking up your questions. I would request our audience to type their questions in the Q&A box provided on your Zoom panel. Over to you, professors.
Okay, thank you, Anisha. And I'd like to welcome everyone who has joined us for this webinar. And I'd like to thank them for their interest in the economics program in Ashoka. So what I'll do is I'll take you through, first I'll take you through a short presentation. And after that, I and my colleague, Professor Bhattacharjee, along with Anisha, will be happy to answer your questions. So let me share my screen so that all of you can see the presentation. Anisha, is the screen visible?
Yes, Professor.
Yes,
Okay.
make it full screen.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so so all of you are, of course, interested in economics, and in particular in the economics in Ashoka University. So obviously the question that would naturally arise in your mind is, why should you study economics in Ashoka? So let me try to convince you why. So Ashoka, I mean, most of you know that Ashoka University is a relatively new university set up in 2014, and the economics department was set up along with the university. And today it is the largest department in the university, both in terms of faculty size and student size. Currently, we have 26 faculty members, which makes it probably the largest economics department in India. And we have a mix of senior and young faculty members, which is very, very, very useful because the young faculty members bring a feeling of vibrancy and dynamism to the department, and the seniors can sort of guide the evolution of the department. An important feature of our faculty is that we are very research active, right? In recruiting new faculty, we focus particularly on their research accomplishments and their research potential. And this has now also been recognized. So recently, according to an internationally recognized professional body in economics called RePEc, we have been ranked the #1 economics department in India for research. So coming to our teaching part of economics in Ashoka, we have a variety of courses across all areas of economics. So because we have a reasonably large department with a number of faculty members, we are able to offer courses in all areas of economics. Particularly, our range of electives is very wide. And a particular feature of our courses is that they are highly rigorous and analytical. So it will introduce you to the modern view of economics, which focuses on analysis and rigor, right? Rather than just memorization and description. And moreover, we also have a very large and diverse student body because the number of students studying economics is quite large in Ashoka. And so you also have a very you also have lots of opportunities for peer learning, and the alumni network is also particularly active, which can help you in making career choices. So coming to the programs that are offered in Ashoka in economics. Well, we have some economics foundation courses which are compulsory for all students, irrespective of whether they want to major in economics or not. That's a feature of Ashoka education, that you have to take compulsory foundation courses in a variety of areas, irrespective of your major. Then we have the pure economics major, of course, and along with that, we have a bunch of interdisciplinary majors also. For example, we have economics and finance. We have philosophy, politics and economics and history. So currently, these are interdisciplinary majors. Over the next few years, more may also be introduced. We also have minors and concentrations in economics. I mean, there are some differences, right, between minors and concentrations, which are not that important for you right now. When you come to Ashoka, you can sort of figure those differences out. But these are meant for students who don't want to specialize in economics, but would still like to have some education in economics, along with maybe some other major subject. And finally, we have the option of advanced major, which is if you stay for 4 years. So the normal degree in Ashoka is of 3 years duration. But if you stay for 4 years, you get a chance to do an advanced major by doing some research and writing a paper under the guidance of some faculty. Now, if you are considering economics in Ashoka, then you have to know that there is a very strong prerequisite, which is that you must have maths in your 11th and 12th class. So if you don't have that, then I'm sorry, you will not be able to enroll for economics and other economics interdisciplinary majors in Ashoka. Okay, that is a very strong requirement which we cannot relax. The reason, of course, is that the use of mathematics is quite prevalent and very important in economics. That is not to say that economics is just applied mathematics, but mathematics does provide us with a powerful tool to analyze economic phenomenon, both from the theoretical perspective and also from the perspective of data analysis. You cannot do economic theory or do data analysis in economics without a sufficiently strong background in mathematics. Doesn't mean that you have to be a genius in mathematics, right? What is important is that you should be comfortable with mathematics, right? You should not be afraid of mathematics. You understand mathematics and apply them well. That should be sufficient. We don't expect people who are mathematicians in the economics department, but rather those who are sufficiently comfortable in mathematics to apply them in an economic setting. And to become an expert or to become proficient in the application of mathematics, of course, I mean, like everything else in life, you have to go through repeated practice in applying maths. So therefore, as I said, this is a very, very important prerequisite, and which I'm afraid cannot be relaxed, right? So please do keep that in mind. So let me now come to the structure of the economics major programs, how the economics major programs, program in Ashoka is structured. Not just in Ashoka, but in almost all leading universities in the world where economics is taught in a rigorous and analytical manner, there is a common structure, right? And the structure is that first, the students are trained to think like economists, which means that in your first year and second year courses, economics courses, the focus will be on learning the core concepts and tools of economics, right? Sometimes that may seem boring, pedantic. You may ask yourself, why am I doing all these things? Well, trust me, they are extremely important and very useful, because without understanding the core concepts and tools, you cannot really address real-world economic issues. I understand all of us enter economics to know a bit more about the real world, right? How the real world, how economies in real-world societies work. But to actually get to that level of understanding, you first need a grounding in the core concepts and tools, which is provided before you are exposed to the important economic issues, right? So important economic issues like inflation, fiscal policy, design of health and education programs, environmental issues, gender issues, right? All these are very important issues. But to have an intelligent understanding and discussion of these things, you need a background, you need a grounding in the core concepts and tools, and that is the primary focus of the education, at least during the first 2 years, right? So as an example, I mean, all of us know that currently there are some agitations going on about new farm laws. So these laws were passed this year, under which some of the restrictions that used to apply on agricultural markets earlier have been relaxed. So for example, farmers can sell anywhere and not just in government-controlled markets. There's something on contract farming that is being allowed, and a few other things. This is a very important policy, and we can therefore certainly ask legitimate questions about such a policy, like who gains, who loses, is this a good or bad policy? Well, to answer such questions in a rigorous manner, you need a good grounding in microeconomics. And therefore, unless you go through an education of microeconomics first, you cannot really hope to address these important questions in an intelligent manner. Similarly, let's take another example. Let's say that is it a good idea to split up large states into smaller ones? And if so, then what difference does it make to economic indicators like GDP? Again, a very important question. Another question is, should all children be required to attend preschool? What would be the impact of that on their learning abilities, and so on? These are very important questions that probably interest a lot of you. But again, to answer them, to address them rigorously, you need a solid training in econometrics. And what is econometrics? Econometrics is the statistical analysis of economic data. So therefore, unless you have a firm, you go through courses in statistics and econometrics, you cannot hope to address these large and important questions, right? So not just these, I mean, there are many other fundamental questions. For example, understanding the extent of cooperation in society, understanding economic inequality, understanding how conventional measures like GDP capture economic, social and individual welfare. All these things require a solid foundation of both economic theory and techniques of data analysis, right? So therefore, you have to go through that sequence of courses first before you address these large real-world questions. So therefore, the philosophy of economics education, at least the one that we follow in Ashoka, is that you invest first and then you reap the rewards. Right? So therefore, most of the economics program till the 3rd year will emphasize training your mind in economic concepts and analysis. Of course, while going through those core courses, there will be a lot of examples that will illustrate the theory that you are learning or the techniques that you are learning. But again, the focus will still be on the techniques and the concepts, not on the examples are not the main focus of those courses, right? It is the elective courses in the 3rd year that will allow you to systematically apply the training that you have received to real world economic issues. And therefore, you have to be patient. Okay? So if you want to become a good economist, right, then you have to be patient. You have to first go through these core courses, and then once you are a bit more mature, you will be able to apply them to real world issues, right? And these techniques are actually extremely powerful, and they will sort of allow you to throw a light on these important problems that society faces. Right? Okay, so now let me spend a few minutes on. So I've told you about the broad philosophy of the economics major programs. So let me now take you briefly through the courses that we have in economics. Right? So as I said, an important part of Ashoka education is that you have to go through foundation courses. This is irrespective of your major. So all students have to take foundation courses from all the important disciplines, economics being one of them. So therefore, the economics departments offer some foundation courses. So for example, this year it is offering 2 such courses, which may change in the future. But we'll try to offer at least 1 foundation course every year. As I said, this is not a part of the major, but it is an essential part of the Ashoka undergraduate education. So for example, this year, one of the foundation courses is being taken by Professor Arvind Subramaniam, who is a senior faculty member in our department. And this one talks about sort of a history of global economic events from around the 15th century till the modern period. It will talk about various important events like the Columbian Exchange, which was the sort of the related to the voyages of discovery of Columbus and others. Things like Opium Wars, colonization, U.S. Civil War, things like that, and important topics like how have geography, history, institutions influenced the trajectory of nations? What have been the role of states and markets? So these are topics that have a very broad focus, and is a part of is an important part of the liberal education that Ashoka offers to make you an intelligent member of society. Okay, so that's one such course that is being offered. Again, no guarantee that this will be offered next year, but something like that will be offered. Another course that is being offered is History of Economic Ideas. So the earlier course was History of Economic Events. This course is a History of Economic Ideas. So economic ideas that emerged from great economists, from Adam Smith, who is the founder of economics, to modern economists like Amartya Sen. And this is being taught by another one of our senior faculty members, Professor Pulapre Balakrishnan. Okay, so these are two of the foundation courses that are currently being offered. All right, so let's now come to the major economics courses. That is the courses that are part of the economics major or the other interdisciplinary majors that involve economics. The first major course is called the Introduction to Economics, which is, as the name suggests, it will introduce broadly to various parts of economics, various topics that are addressed in economics. None of them with great depth or with great rigor, but this is more like a sampler, right? Because one assumes that before getting into the tools and techniques of economics, you would at least like to have some familiarity with what is economics, what is it that we study economics. So that is the focus of this course. It is not so much about techniques, but about some of the major issues in economics. But this is really the only course in the first and second year that will talk about, that will take a such a broad-based view, right? The other courses in the first and second year are mostly the technical courses, okay? Courses that deal with the core concepts and techniques of economics. So, for example, there's a maths course in your first year called Mathematics for Economists. Then there's a statistics course. Right? Remember, I said a little while earlier that data analysis is a very important part of economics, and these are the courses that will teach you that aspect of economics. Then there are these courses on the important theoretical aspects of economics: microeconomic theory, macroeconomic theory, development economics. Okay? Now these are sequential courses, which means that the maths course must precede all others, the stats course must precede econometrics, micro 1 precedes micro 2, and so on. Right? So these courses have to be taken sequentially, because very often the preceding course is a prerequisite for the succeeding course. You cannot understand the succeeding course unless you have already gone through the preceding course. So this was about the first and second years. Then in the third year, we offer you a bunch of electives. Right? There you have a lot of freedom. You can take electives depending upon what interests you. Again, this is the list of electives. Right now, probably these are just names for you. I mean, for example, there's Indian economy, industrial organization, behavioral economics, economics of gender, political economy, environmental economics. Right? As you can see, I mean, there's this bunch of electives from a host of areas. I mean, whether you are interested in economic theory, macroeconomics, health economics, economics of education, gender economics, all these things. I mean, you should, again, I mean, there's no guarantee that all these, I mean, of course, we can't offer all these electives every year. Depending on the availability of faculty, we try to offer a broad selection of such electives so that you have the option, or students have the option of picking these courses from whatever area of economics interest. Okay. So to summarize this discussion, let me say that this course planning is very important, right? So because the economics program proceeds sequentially, you need to carefully plan your courses. So for example, As I said earlier, maths for economics needs to be taken before micro 1 and macro 1. Similarly, micro 1 and macro 1 needs to be taken before micro 2 and macro 2. Statistics needs to be taken before econometrics, right? So hence, the sequence of courses in the first and second years is very tight. Okay, but the third year will offer you a lot of freedom in taking electives. Okay, so after you have gone through the grind of learning the tools and techniques and concepts of economics, in the third year you can revel in the freedom of choosing electives based on your interest. So let me briefly then conclude this discussion with the number of courses that you have to do for your economics major programs. So this ICT stands for Introduction to Critical Thinking, and 8 foundation courses. These are required. These are compulsory part of the Ashoka undergraduate education, and this is required for all majors, irrespective of what the subject of your major is. In addition, if you are interested in economics majors, then for a pure economics major, you'll have to do 12. You have to do 15 courses, 15 economics courses. For the economics and finance major, you have to do the 15 economics courses plus four additional finance courses. If you want to do, say, politics, philosophy, and economics, then you have to do 16 courses spread out over these 3 subjects of politics, philosophy, and economics. You must take a minimum of 4 in each of these areas and a maximum of 8 in any of these particular areas. So that together you have 16 courses, depending upon which of these 3 areas you want to specialize in, right? And then if you want to say do an economics and history major, you have to take 8 plus 8 courses, 8 economics plus 8 history courses. Okay, so now so that was about the structure of the economics major programs. Let me conclude. So I'm almost at the end of my presentation. So let me to conclude. Let me sort of talk about other aspects of the Ashoka experience. So, for example, an important aspect of educational experience is the classroom environment. So, what are classes like in Ashoka? So, a characteristic of classes in Ashoka is that Ashoka tries to keep its student-to-teacher ratio at a reasonable level, right? So we don't have like there are not like hundreds of students in any particular class with one professor. So generally classes are capped at around 45. It may go up to say 50 sometimes, but not too much beyond that. Okay. So we have we try to keep a reasonable student-to-teacher ratio. We try to keep the classroom environment vibrant. So there's a lot of interaction between, at least we try to encourage a lot of interaction between professor and students. I mean, the focus is not on memorizing, but on absorbing and understanding concepts. So therefore, professors encourage interaction, and they try to establish a conversation between students, with students, about different concepts. And finally, an important part of our education is that because our faculty is very research-oriented, culture into the classroom as well. And therefore, and this applies particularly to the electives. A lot of the electives you will find would be, I mean, many of the professors might be talking about their own research, okay, or research that is very, very recent in the profession. Okay, so in the electives, therefore, there's a stress on original work. So you'll have the chance to do projects, you'll have the chance to write term papers. So there's a lot of focus on original thinking rather than rote learning. That is the culture of Ashoka, and that is the culture that we have tried to develop in the department as well. And finally, I mean, this would be an important question. I mean, natural question, that what are the career opportunities that you can look forward to following your education in Ashoka? So fortunately, Ashoka students have been able to go on into very attractive careers, both in terms of like going into work, employment, or going into higher studies. Right. So, for example, placements in Ashoka, we have a very active placement cell and a placement network, and our students have been placed in a variety of organizations. This is just a small list, certainly not exhaustive. So, our students are working as journalists in media, in international organizations, in development organizations, in the NGO sector, in the corporate sector, in banks, consultancies. A lot of our students also go for graduate studies, right? Both within India and abroad. So many of our students have gone to very leading universities like Oxford, LSE, and so on. Again, this is an indicative list, not an exhaustive list. So yeah. So therefore, I would say that an education in Ashoka will certainly open a lot of doors for you, both in terms of employment opportunities and opportunities for further studies. All right. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and and then I look forward to your questions. Okay. So I'll stop the screen sharing now. And I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Professor. I'm joined by Vaidehi Maheshwari. She's also an economics major and an international relations minor at Ashoka. So we will be asking Professor some questions that came in the chat box. So the first thing, Professor, is that a lot of people are asking about math. You spoke about it, but could you please address a little bit more about the percentage that is required, how quantitative the course at Ashoka is, and whether if someone has not done it in 11th and 12th, but has done an online course in math, would that be accepted?
Percentage means the percentage that they get in their class 12 maths.
Yes.
No, we don't have any percentage requirement. We just need you to pass the course. That's all. I mean, you should have a passing grade in your class 12 high school certificate, the school leaving certificate. That's all. So we are not looking for any percentage. Sorry, what is the next question? What is the level of mathematics that is required? So you should be comfortable with. So there are two aspects of maths that are very important. Okay, one is calculus, and one is what is called linear algebra. That is, you should have some familiarity with a bit of advanced algebra, coordinate geometry. So, for example, we don't have too much of requirement for trigonometry, right? So it's not that all aspects of mathematics are required, but some aspects of mathematics are widely used. Calculus is widely used. Probability is widely used. Algebra is widely used. So you should have some comfort in this sort of mathematics. Again, as long as you pass your class 12 mathematics, we are not going to test you. Okay, there's no testing of the maths. Okay, all we require is that you have a passing grade in your school leaving certificate, and of course there is the maths for economics course that will anyway take you through the mathematical requirements. There are also other courses that are offered by the maths department. If you feel that you need some remedial courses, you can also take them.
Okay. And another question related to that was that if you haven't done it in 11th and 12th, but you do an online course, would that substitution count?
No, we require some sort of board certificate. Okay, school leaving board certificate that says that you have passed the maths course. Okay, whether it's CBSE, ICSE, state board, some international board, but we require some. Okay, so just an online certificate probably will not suffice.
Okay. Thank you, Professor. Also, can you talk a little bit more about the fourth year and specifically what kind of certification will students receive after the fourth year?
May I request Swagata to take that question?
Sure. So the 3-year degree that Ashoka offers is like any other university's degree in India, UGC approved degree, which which mandates you to complete the coursework that is required. But in the 4th year, which is the advanced degree, advanced major degree that the students get, they get to work on research projects as well. So there is at least some research element to that. So that diploma that they get by the end of 4th year, Anisha and Vaidehi can also add if they feel like, but that is the idea, that there is some research requirements in the 4th year degree.
Professor, there's a question about the Center of Economic Data and Analysis and when it will be started.
It has already started. it hasn't become fully fledged now. I mean, it has, I mean, due to the pandemic and all, a lot of things have gotten delayed. But over the next 1 or 2 years, we hope that it will start operating on a larger scale.
Okay.
Let me add to that as well. The center already has a lot of data that students can use for their term papers, projects, etc. But the future goal of the center, of course, is to produce publicly consumable data interpretation, visually interpretable data.
The next question is about how much of an intersection the economics program has with programming, considering how important computing has become in the modern day.
Okay. So we don't. So in the economics department, we don't offer any explicit course in programming in the undergraduate program, but a lot of courses do have computing requirements, particularly the courses on statistics, econometrics, and data analysis. So while going through statistics and econometrics, students will have to learn some important econometric softwares like Stata. Okay, then a lot of the elective courses which focuses on empirical issues, data analysis, they are also depending upon the professor's choice, students will be learning some software and applying that for data analysis. So, for example, Professor Swagata in her experimental economics course, I'm sure uses.
Yeah, I use Z3. Yeah. So.
Okay. And can you also talk a little bit about the kind of bachelor's degree students will receive, a BA versus a BSc for economics and finance?
Yeah, so for a pure economics major, it is BA. PP and economics and history is also BA. For an economics and finance, it is BSc. Okay. But that doesn't really matter. It's just a name. There's really no distinction between a BA and a BSc.
Many students are wondering if they can do a double major.
So why don't Anisha and Vaidehi talk about that? Because since as students, you have better perspective for that.
Vaidehi, go ahead.
It is quite possible to do a double major. However, it becomes extremely strenuous since economics at Ashoka is already a very academically demanding subject. So it is advised that before you plan on pursuing a double major, do talk to your student representatives, do take the advice of the Office of Academic Affairs so that you can actually plan out your courses well over the span of 4 years and ensure that you get all the credits that you need. But it is quite possible.
Yes. They also want to know about how many seats Ashoka has for the economics program and about the class sizes.
There is no fixed number of seats. Okay, so in recent times, Ashoka has been admitting about 600 students every year, of which this year or last year, that is, about 230 or 235 students opted for economics and other economics related interdisciplinary majors. But that number can change. There is no fixed size because when students are admitted in Ashoka, they are not admitted to the economics program, right? Students don't declare their major in Ashoka in their first year. You declare your major only in your third semester, right? Yeah. So there is no fixed number of seats for any program. Okay, it depends upon how many students the university wants to admit, depending upon the infrastructure issues. But once the students are admitted, they are free. I mean, all 600 can take economics major. We'll be happy to serve them.
Can students do a master's in the United States with a 3-year degree? Is one of the questions we received.
No. Yeah, the US in the United States they require a 4-year college degree. So just with a 3-year degree, it will be difficult to get admission into a graduate program like a PhD or a master's. But you can do that with a 4th year. So if you complete your 4th year, that will suffice. That will suffice. That will give the 4-year required college education to apply for US graduate programs.
And adding to that, as you have already seen, a lot of our students went for masters in the US and also PhD programs after the 4th year ASP.
Another question that I think Vaidehi and I could address is what are the different kinds of societies and clubs that an economics student has access to? So
yeah, so that's I think Anisha and Vaidehi should address.
Yeah. So I will say that when it comes to just economics, we have an Ashoka Economics journal, which publishes research papers by students, and it's for students. We also have an Ashoka Economics Society that organizes webinars, discussions. They have a peer mentorship program so that you can talk to alumni and gain it and get advice from them. But beyond just economics, we have clubs for almost every subject you can think of. There is a society for every discipline. There are clubs for acting, dancing, music, teaching, cooking, anything you can think of is there. And even if it's not there, students are encouraged to start their own societies. I will say that one benefit of Ashoka being somewhat newer is that you have a lot of independence when it comes to these things. Another question is, can you please talk about the minors that economics can be studied with?
No, there is again no restriction. If you, you can take an economics major with any minor. Okay, there is no such restriction. Similarly, you can take an economics minor with any other major. There is no such restriction.
And does Ashoka consider advanced placement scores?
Sorry, I didn't. What are advanced placement scores?
I think the AP scores that come
the
outside
US.
of the ICSE, yeah.
I don't know. That is an admission-related question. Maybe Anisha or Vaideh, do you know about it?
Not really, Professor. As you said, AP scores are only considered during the admission process. Once you are at Ashoka, you begin from level 0. So.
Yeah. So the Ashoka admissions office will consider anything that you can show. All right. Anything that adds to the strength of your application, they will probably consider it, including AP scores. But the department as such doesn't really take that into consideration.
Okay. Is there a student exchange program for econ students?
You mean with foreign universities?
Yes.
Yeah. So Ashoka has partnerships with some partner institutes in abroad. So as part of that, you can there are opportunities to take courses either in the summer or you can take it. It may also be possible for you to spend an entire semester abroad. Again, Anisha and Vaideh may like to add something to that because they may know more about it.
Yeah, so Ashoka does have exchange programs with many foreign universities. They're handled by a whole separate office. There's nothing specific for economics as far as I know, but any student is welcome to apply. How many subjects of finance will an interdisciplinary economics and finance student be taking?
4. So you have to take 15 economics courses, which is common with the economics major, pure economics major. In addition to that, you have to take 4 finance courses, which are also offered by the economics department itself. But yes, you have to take 4 courses.
There's a question about the structure of examinations at Ashoka.
There is no structure. It depends upon the professor, right? So Ashoka doesn't have a centralized examination system. Every professor is free to frame their own exam policy. In fact, some courses may not even have exams. There may just be a term paper or class participation. It's totally up to the professor. There is no centralized structure about examinations.
Does Ashoka offer internship opportunities for economics majors?
Again, maybe the students, Anisha and Vaideh, can answer that.
So we have an Ashoka internship cell, which handles all official internships. Again, there's no division between economics students and any other discipline. Though whichever company comes, they may choose to specify which degree they're looking for. But yeah, there are many opportunities. Vaideh, if you want to add anything?
No, just that students don't usually focus on having an internship that's purely economic because at an undergraduate level, you don't quite have the experience to get an internship, say, in major companies at least. But there are quite a few of my peers who have worked with some of the major firms. So this kind of information you'll probably get through the internship cell and through portals that you'll have to look out for. So yeah, it's quite possible, but don't be too fixed on having a particular kind of internship to do.
And Professor, when you spoke about the foundation courses related to economics, are they compulsory? And will they be considered in being admitted to the program?
No, see, the foundation courses are compulsory for all students, irrespective of their major. Okay, so as part of that, the economics department also offers foundation courses. So whether you are an economics major or not, you will have to take that foundation course, along with foundation courses in other subjects like maths, history, science, right? They are not part of the major, right? So doing the foundation course has no implication on whether you are an economics major or not.
Right. And there's a question about the kind of reading material that's used at Ashoka.
Again, that depends upon the professor. I mean, what kind of reading material. So there is really no simple answer to that question. Howsoever does I mean, at least my impression, at least in my courses, economics is not a very reading intensive subject. Okay? You will probably have 1 or 2 textbooks. It's more about practice. Okay, so just understanding the concepts in depth and practicing, that is the main focus, rather than reading tons and tons of books. Right? Swagata, maybe you can add something to that.
Yeah, so what Ratul said about core courses, that is exactly what happens. So for the core courses like micro, macro, statistics, mostly there are textbooks and reference books and the lecture notes or slides, depending on what the professor is using, and a lot of practice is required. While when it comes to electives, then there is a great stress on original thinking and research, as we have mentioned before. So you have to read actual academic papers, which is I believe which is pretty uncommon in India, but at Ashoka we follow that norm.
How many contact hours are there for students per week?
So you have 3 hours of classes. Plus, in some courses, there are discussion sections, which is another 1 hour. So that's 4 hours, 3 plus 1. And in addition, professors have office hours, which will be 1 or 2 hours. So that depends upon the student, whether they want to come to the office hour or, yeah. But yeah, 3 hours is the minimum. It can go up to 4 or 5 hours also, with discussion sections and office hours.
And how does homework work at Ashoka? How many hours are students expected to put in outside of class doing assignments?
That probably the 2 of you can answer, Anisha and Vaidhi.
I would say it really depends from course to course. During the electives, you do get some amount of free time to just expand, read more to what appeals to your area of interest. But then when you have the core courses in years 1 and 2, as professors have mentioned earlier, there's a lot of emphasis on doing practice, reading your textbooks, and ensuring that you get the concepts clear. So you do have to put in quite a bit of work. I would say for every 3 hours of classes that you have to have at least 3 hours of study time in addition to that. So over the break or over the weekends, you have to put in the amount of time.
And can students convert a minor to a major in their 4th year?
No, you have to finish your major in 3 years. Okay, so although under exceptional circumstances that might be possible. If you so, for example, the UGC allows you to up to 5 years to finish your major, but then you have to have some special justification as to why you could not finish it in 3 years. Under normal circumstances, I don't think you will be allowed to not finish your major in 3 years. You have to so under normal circumstances, you will have to finish some major in 3 hours, 3 years.
But I will add that you can complete a double major as long as you fulfill the requirements in your 4th year.
Yeah, that you can do. Yeah.
There's a question about the kind of reading that a high school student should be doing if they hope to study economics in the future, and if you have any recommendations.
Oh, you mean just the general reading, not like textbooks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Swagata, anything that comes to your mind? Wealth of Nations?
Wealth of Nations, yeah, definitely. That's a pretty hefty read, but good read
Yeah,
nevertheless.
yeah.
Nudge by Richard Thaler, that's one really good book.
There's a book.
Fast and Slow by
There's a
Carl.
book called Why Nations Fail.
Why
Fail.
Nations Fail by
Yeah,
S. Moglu.
yeah. Just a Google search of good economics general books. Okay, that will give you a lot of options. Right now, it's hard to just. I mean, even if I say a lot of names, you probably will forget. But the internet is, as always, a good source of such information. Just the Google search of good economics
Poor
general.
Economics by Banerjee. That's
Yeah,
another
yeah,
good one
yeah,
which comes
yeah.
to my mind.
Good economics for hard times. That's a recent book.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
That's a
There are
good
lots
one.
of options. Yeah,
The Free Economics, I like that as well.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
There's a question about um, the reading material offered at the Ashoka Library, if you want to talk about that.
Uh,
You are the best person
Ashoka,
to talk about that, no?
yeah, I mean, as far as I know, Ashoka Library does have a healthy stock of all books. I mean, or most of the important books. But maybe, yeah, the students, Anisha and Vaideh, can sort of say more about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have access to most material on campus, but I will add that since things turned online, the library has been really efficient at getting us access to online resources. So that's never a problem.
And the library also has access to most of the important journals in economics. So if you ever have to download a paper, the library is a good source for that. But but most of the textbooks that are prescribed are not very expensive. There are reasonably priced Indian editions available. So as far as possible, you should try to have a personal copy of a textbook, because you need to keep referring to that. Even after you have completed the course, you may need to keep referring to that. Of course, if a book is very expensive, then of course it is unrealistic to expect that all students will have it. Then you can source it from the library.
What are the topics covered under the finance courses, and will they include accounting?
Uh, so right now the finance courses that are offered are, there's one course called, actually Anisha, why don't you answer that? Because you have gone through those courses. Yeah.
Right. So I'm in the process of getting a major in economics and finance. So we have to do 4 courses, one of which is introductory and will cover all the basics of markets. And then the other 3 are electives, which change from year to year. But this year I will have taken a course called Finance and the Economy, which looks at the intersection of the banking system and finance with economics. There will be a course on asset pricing, and there will be a course on international finance. But for me personally, this might change in the future, but accounting was not a core topic within any of these courses. One student wants to know about the difference between a major and a minor in economics.
Well, so major means that you are focusing on whatever your major subject is, right? So that is the main purpose of your education. So so for example, in an economics major, you have to do 15 courses, right? Minor means that you have some other major, which is the main focus of your education. The minor is something an additional interest. You may have some interest in the subject, but you don't want to focus entirely on that, right? So therefore, you don't want to spend a lot of time on that, but you are still interested enough to spend some time on that. So therefore, the course requirements for minor, of course, will be considerably less. So for the economics minor, you have to do only 6 courses, whereas for a major, you would have to do 15 courses.
Someone wants to know if you can do more than 15 major courses, and what is the maximum number of electives a student can do?
Well, there are certain limits that are imposed by the university itself. So you cannot take more than 5 courses a semester, which effectively puts a limit of 29 courses on the number of courses you can take, because the first semester you can take only 4, right? So over the 3 years, you can take a maximum of 29 courses, of which 9 are foundation plus critical thinking. So that leaves 20 courses. So of that 20, you can do whatever you want. You can, yeah. So that means if you want to take 15 plus 5 more also, you can do that. Yeah. But of course, yeah, there are also some co-curricular requirements that you also need to keep in mind. But yeah, it will be possible to take more than 15. depending on the other constraints that the university has. Yeah.
And how specialized are the elective courses, and can they be interdisciplinary?
Elective courses are fairly specialized because, first of all, elective courses are offered at a level that is quite modern. So a lot of recent developments are explored in these elective courses. Again, depending on the faculty who is teaching it. Okay. What is meant by interdisciplinary here? I'm not so sure. Swagata, any?
I
We can
think,
talk about the cross courses.
I think it's meaning that whether there is any intersection between economics and any other field, and the answer to that is in
Yeah.
different cases, yes. So, for example, networks, crowds and market, that course have been cross-listed with computer science several times, and I think this year also behavioral economics course that Srijita will offer, that will be cross-listed with psychology. So
yeah, and environmental economics is cross-listed
cross-listed with
with
environmental
the environmental science department. Similarly, some courses that are offered by other departments sometimes get cross-listed with economics. So, for example, last year there was a course on international economic history. I forgot the exact name, but that was the larger topic, international economic history, that was offered by the history department, that got cross-listed as an economics course.
So one of the good things about Ashoka, I believe, is that flavor of interdisciplinarity that is definitely there even in econ.
There's a question for us. So, Betty, if you want to answer, what has interested you in the program the most until now?
I would say at every stage of learning, you get introduced to something new, and I think that adds on to your excitement and just your passion for the subject. So I would say I don't think there's one single answer, but just being in Ashoka, having such a lovely faculty, having so many resources at your hands, and the opportunity to take advantage of these so many different programs and student courses abroad, so many research opportunities, competitions, and so on. I feel like that is something that makes economics at Ashoka really, really fun and not boring like in other courses and other colleges.
I'd agree with that. I think we're done with most questions, unless, Betty, if you see any more that we can answer.
There's one that's been coming repetitively. Can we convert our minors into a major in the fourth year? And I think the answer to that would depend on the kind of minor you're looking at. So, for example, if it's economics, I would say it's not possible because the economics course structure is very sequential. So you need to have done certain amount of courses before you can do the others. But in other courses, say, for example, English, I do think it's quite possible to convert your minor into a major.
Right. But again, the point remains that in your 3 years, you should have completed some major. Then along with that, if you have done a minor in your 3 years, in the fourth year, you can convert that into an additional major.
There's been one other question that's been repeated quite a bit, is experience with research and how good you were at economics before college important at all?
It's not at all important. I mean, we don't insist on students having a prior knowledge of economics. The only requirement is you should have maths in your class 12. We don't require that you should have economics in your class 12, right? So there is absolutely no requirement that you should have any prior knowledge or exposure to economics.
So I think those were all the questions that we received. Thank you very much, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to all of you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, professors. That was a great session. I'm sure this would have been really helpful to all the students who are looking to apply to Ashoka for economics.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks also to Vedahi for joining us and for answering the students' questions. At this point, I'd like to ask the audience to take a minute to share your feedback with us. The link to the feedback form is provided in the chat box. I'd also like to inform you that our next session in the Undergraduate Academics webinar series is Why Study Psychology at Ashoka with Professor Avantika Bhatia, who is the Assistant Professor of Psychology at Ashoka University This webinar will be held on Tuesday, the 8th of December at 6 p.m. The registration link to this session is provided in the chat box as well. We would also like to invite you for a webinar on careers after Ashoka, which will give students and parents an overview of the placements and career opportunities available to students after graduating from Ashoka University. This is scheduled for next Friday, 4th December at 5 p.m. This registration link can also be found in the chat box. Lastly, I'd like to inform everyone that the round 2 applications for the UG program are open. The last day to submit your application in this round is 11th January. You can start your application at apply.ashoka.edu.in. Please visit our website, which is on your screen, for complete details on the admissions process and timeline. If you have any further queries or would like to know more about Ashoka's unique interdisciplinary undergraduate program, you can write to us at apply@ashoka.edu.in or call us on the number provided on the screen. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Anisha. So Anisha, can I leave now? Yeah.